Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. If you, I love talking, and so please ask as many questions and contribute as much as you would love to. That's amazing. But when you're not, if you could hit mute, that is super helpful to everybody on this webinar, so it doesn't interfere. We're going to go over a few different things today. One is some material that is many of you haven't seen in quite a while. Others of you probably seen as recently as the most recent boot camp, but it's something I get a lot of questions on and keeps coming up. So I'm going to go over that on how we look at what are the most important things in our industry and a little bit about industry size. And then we're going to dive into a sales video that we do. Many of you have seen versions of this, but we've kind of revamped it with a new impact statement and a new video treatment. And we've been doing these for almost every sizable speaking opportunity, and they've been super effective. As we've kind of honed in on what's working and what's not, and really tightened up the process and the product that we produce, it's helped to drive up close rates in so many cases. And now we get sometimes meeting planners, but also bureau agents will come to us, someone we've never done work before, someone we've never shown this to, and they ask about it and say, hey, you did this for my friend so-and-so, will you do it for me? So I want to share with you what we're doing, how we create that, and hopefully it's something you can learn from and borrow as well. And yeah, that's the story. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First on the refresher stuff. So a lot of times we sit back and we think, how big is this industry? Like when times are busy, it's great. When times are slower, you wonder, why are there really enough speeches out there? Is there really enough for all of us? And the answer is absolutely, absolutely. So when you take a look at the industry, a couple fast facts. So there's approximately, it's a little more than this, but approximately 150,000 professional speaking events per year in North America, every single year. So these exist in all kinds of forms, from small things to just the largest conferences of any kind for huge corporations and associations. But there are so many opportunities. There's hundreds of people speaking right now getting paid around this country while we're sitting here and learning how to improve our business. Google searches for the term professional motivational speaker, term we don't even love, is 750,000 searches. So it's a huge, huge opportunity. And it's funny, we hear so many of the same names over and over again, the same people that are on so many of these stages, but there's so many names we don't hear, and there's so many events we've never heard of, and there's so many associations that we can't even imagine exist. Just underscores how big and awesome the opportunity is for everyone. North American market size, just in North America, $4 billion, conservatively. This is by our own math. This is what we tried to do, and we tried to add it all up. I actually think it's probably closer to $6 billion. But it's amazing, as we all know. You go into a hotel in Orlando or even somewhere much smaller, you walk down the hall, and you're at the North American Pencil Manufacturers Association, and next to it is the Mexican Association of Ophthalmologists. And after that, it's the Canadian Association of Paper Pulp Manufacturers. Whatever it is, it goes on and on and on and on. It's always refreshing when you get to walk through the streets of DC and you see one office building after one office building where another association is there and looking to hire speakers like us for an upcoming event. Okay, so those kind of events in this market exist in lots of places. They exist in crappy rooms like this with bad lighting, AV, and blue tablecloths, and they exist in great, beautiful venues like this one. All wonderful in their own different ways. We all get a chance to hopefully speak at as many of these as possible, but we certainly all get to speak at the other ones too. It's all part of the journey and the experience. So what's the difference? What are the key things that go into why some of us get to speak at more of these huge events, and some speakers are delivering higher fees and others not so much? What are the key ingredients? And we spend a lot of time looking at video of speakers, of looking at speaker websites, of watching speakers live, of looking at their marketing materials and their message, their performance on stage, how lasting the impact is, what kind of feedback they're getting from clients, and studying it so we can better understand what really drives success, and where some of the challenges are, and where are the things that keep certain people back. And we're always trying to do it in a quantitative sort of way, so that we can take a look at our own business and help some of you and other clients that we work with and help them grow. And as we do that, we keep coming back to these same core elements of things that are important. And it's almost like a monthly thing for us. We kind of do our own scorecard, and we look and we say, how did we do this past month? What's going well, and where can we go ahead and make some changes and improvements? So as a refresher, this is what the method looks like. We use a player card based off of just like you'd see in a Dungeons and Dragons or a Marvel Comics or a Pokemon. And we give these these attributes that a character would have, their stamina or their weaponry or their spells or their power, whatever it is. We go ahead and we say, what would that look like if the speaker had superpowers? What would their key things would be? So if they were in this magical video game, where would they excel, and where would they fall short? And here's what it looks like. And I'm going to run through them. This is just sort of an old one that we did for Josh, but you get an idea. So the first one is fame. This is becoming more and more important. How well you're known in the community, both in the speaking community and maybe in the business community, but even outside of that. There's a lot of events where people are looking to get butts and seats. They're looking to sell tickets. They're looking for someone to come to an experience after an association event that they're sponsoring. And if there's a keynote speaker there that are like, oh, I recognize that person, I know about that person, or they search for you and you're like, I never heard of this person, but wow, she certainly seems to have a lot of experience. On a lot of been on the news a lot, and it's got a TV show, and she's written a lot of books and seems to be speaking everywhere. Apparently, I'm the one that doesn't know what's going on, and I need to go take a look at this. So fame, while not always in your direct control, something that makes a huge difference, and in our society today seems to be more important than ever. Speaking skills. Obviously, speaking is the product. So the better stronger you are on stage, the better your performance, the better, the more likely you are to get booked, and the more likely people are to say, wow, that person's incredible. Have you ever gone and seen this person speak? And so getting back to the core, actually working with a speaking coach and practicing the fundamentals makes a huge difference in someone's success and their ability to sell more speeches at higher dollar values. Having a unique message, not getting up there and shouting or spouting platitudes and things that other people have said before, but having a unique perspective, having something that you really own, this is personal to you and is your vision and view of how your discipline should be explained and taught and embraced and exemplified. And it can be a very unique thing, but it can also be something that's not super unique, but you figured out a new way to explain it. You figured out a way to share it in a new, unique, and compelling way. And when you have a speaker that does one or both of those things, they tend to be more successful. They tend to speak more and get paid more doing it. When they don't, you get people who are not that interested. You're like, all right, I've heard another speaker talk about this particular topic on manufacturing or on customer service or on innovation or anything else. Next up is credibility. What is your background like? Where do you come from? Have you spent your career in this world, in this industry, talking about this topic, actually doing the work? Or did you go ahead and decide, I'm just going to, this topic sounds good. I'm going to talk about nanotechnology. I have no degree in it. I've never worked in the field. I've never written a book on it. I haven't been speaking very long on it. I don't know. I don't read all the publications about it. You're not a true expert in it. And so your credibility kind of falls short when you get up there and someone says, yeah, but why is this person talking about heart surgery? They're not a heart surgeon. They don't know anything about it. Visual flair. We're in a very visual, certainly medium as professional speakers, but just in general, in society and in media and what it takes to be exciting and excite people has changed. And so looking the part and having excitement around everything you do, from your marketing materials to your slides to lighting that you might choose to use or the outfit that you wear. Is it exciting? Does it have that visual flair? And those that tend to have more of a visual flair tend to do better. And we found that those have less visual flair tend to perform more poorly. So visual flair is super, super important. Entertainment value. Does your talk have the entertainment value of a good movie? If it does, great. People will continue to buy tickets and they will continue to come see you speak. If it's the kind of movie that everyone is falling asleep in, like my wife likes to accuse me of, or you leave early, or you keep running out to the restroom to get some other treat that none of us need to eat, that is where you fall short. So making sure that entertainment value, the entertainment value of a good movie or a good concert or any good live experience is there. And when that happens, you do well. There's the balance of that, though, which is the next one, which is impact, because a great speaker sort of finds that intersection between being inspirational and having impact and being actionable to actually make a difference. So it's one thing if someone comes and sees you speak and they feel great that day, and they can't wait to talk about it at dinner, or they're motivated the next morning when they get up. But that doesn't work for the long term, just pure motivation. It works when people are making real choices. They're making different choices. They're making decisions, taking actions, running businesses, operating their careers, changing how they interact with their family in different ways in the weeks, months, and years that follow. And so I was in a meeting not too long ago where someone had seen Josh speak 3 years ago and never met this person. It was unrelated. She went on to tell me all the things that they do different as an executive team as a result of seeing Josh speak. And that's exactly the impact that we're looking for, and to make a real difference in businesses, association, in the lives of attendees. So that intersection between entertaining and actionable is like the perfect spot to be. Of course, in certain situations, it's got to be more entertaining. In other situations, it needs to be more actionable. But there's always some percentage, whether it's 50-50 or 70-30, that you got to be thinking about. And last on the key elements is marketing polish. What do each of the marketing elements you have, how do they look? How strong are they? Do they look professional or are they on brand? That can be everything from websites to headshots to videos to one-pagers to PowerPoint decks to the outfit that you choose to wear on stage. How impactful, how polished is that? And when it's polished, speakers speak more and they get paid higher fees. So those are the key main things that we kind of look at, those magic 7 or 8 attributes. But there's a few more that are also equally important that I wanted to share. And these, by the way, have a lot are in your direct control. Sometimes you can't really make yourself famous. It's hard to become Oprah Winfrey, but it's not hard to affect. Well, it's not easy, but you can affect your, for example, urgency and desire. How bad do you want it? How much have you decided that I'm going to be successful at this no matter what? I'm going to out hustle the next person. I'm going to get up earlier. I'm going to go to bed later. I'm going to go make more introductions. I'm going to go continue to work on my craft. I'm going to spend as much time getting on stage, more time getting on stage, working on those things than the things I actually do when I'm on stage to build the best possible professional speaking business. Responsiveness, those of you that have worked with us for a long time know how critically important we believe this is, to be as instantaneously responsive to an inbound inquiry as we possibly can be. We've had a number of instances just in the last 3 weeks that we got to reach out. I got to reach out solely because of the responsiveness, because they had a problem. They had someone cancel. They had a client that was difficult and they needed to solve a problem. And we were able to, in all instances, solve the problem. We only won 1 of the 3, but still that's 1 gig in the last 3 weeks that we got simply because people knew that they can get us pretty much anytime, and we're going to respond pretty quickly. Commitment to the client is very, very important. We all know about the speaker who flies in, gets in 10 seconds before the speech, does the speech, and is running out the door the next thing. Now, I'm not telling you it's bad to do double headers and get as many speeches as you want. That's fine. We should all do the best we can to maximize the business. But giving as much as you possibly can, given the constraints to a client, is super important for the long term. Being available for multiple calls before then, even pre-booking calls, to make the client feel comfortable that you're the right choice before they've even agreed. If they're not, those are learning opportunities. So we encourage that as much as possible. But following up with the client, right after with an email, getting on a call with them a week later, debriefing, learning for yourself, but also giving back. Saying, hey, when I was at that VIP event before, a couple of your customers said the following to me, and it made me think about it. Here's a couple ways I might approach that. And just sort of selflessly giving back and providing as much service as you can, not just when you're there on stage, but in the many hours leading up and the hours afterwards. That's where a lot of the difference makes to people that are very successful. Tenacity and resilience is super important. Doesn't matter how long you've been at this business can be tough at times. Deals fall apart. Things don't not go as well as we had hoped that they would go. And the speaker that bounces back, the one that says, yep, I got knocked down 7 times, but I'm going to stand up 8, is the one that continues to be successful. And gosh, just for all of us, just like when you think things are going well, the next week there's challenges. So tenacity and resilience, super, super important. The balance of that sort of is patience. Rome is never, ever built in a day. And like any good business, the ones that science fail are the ones that where the person quit too soon and they quit too quickly. So being around and willing to be in it for the long haul, and know that it's gonna, you're gonna keep doing those activities, those little things every day that kind of over time build up and move that mountain, move a lion. Those that are patient, are those entrepreneurs that are patient, are the ones that tend to be most successful. Being flexible and fluid. We all do great things about planning. We have someone we've been working with who's kind of a newer speaker, but she's speaking several times a month, and it's interesting to hear her tales because she's gone to a lot of lengths to make sure the travel works out right, and that she's got the 55-minute keynote that the client asked for and is ready for that breakout session an hour later, and has got the video thing figured out, and it's got the slides customized and all the research and calls. And it never fails. You get there and there's usually some sort of surprise. The CEO was running late and the break wasn't what it was supposed to be, and they wanted to make her speech instead of 55 minutes only 30 minutes, but wanted to do a 90-minute breakout session. And you have a choice as a professional. We can sit there and say, nope, that's not what I agreed to. Yeah, I'll do your 30-minute speech, but it's not going to be that good. Or we can say, look, you got to roll the punches. The best of the best just kind of figure it out in the moment, and I'm going to give an A++ effort no matter the situation, because they're paying me real dollars for my expertise, and I'm going to do the best I possibly can do. If they change the circumstances, then they change the circumstances. So what? I'm up for the challenge. So being flexible and fluid is super important. And then finally, respecting the channel. We, as those of you who've worked with us for a while, know how important we view bureaus in our world. We work with them extensively. We're continuously trying to go ahead and grow those relationships. We send out about once a week. I send out an email. Looks just like a standard text email, but I actually send it out as a blast because it goes to all my bureau contacts with an idea or two for a way that we might be able to fit for an upcoming topic. There's about 700 people on that list. I don't even know all those people. I probably work with about 300, 350 that I know decently well. But those are 700 people that I've had some bureau interaction with over the last few years. Vast majority here in the States, but some international. And those people we hold near and dear. So even the ones that aren't super close to us, sometimes I'll get a response, like I did yesterday about a CPG example that I sent out, where someone wanted to know how that fit could work for a company that does kind of store, they manufacture store brand products. And how do we help them market when they're having to use different brands from other places? Like how would that fit for an upcoming sales conference? This is someone I've never talked to on the phone before. Maybe exchanged an email 3 years ago and added to the list. But because we respect the channel, because we invest so much in it, because we're patient and we continue doing things that are on brand, all that stuff, it's a gift that pays back over time. So there's the list of kind of the add-on things, the extra things that you can do to go ahead and really make a real lasting difference in how this business grows for each of us individually. Any questions on any of those, the original group or any of the add-on items, or that I can answer, or any tales or stories anyone has about things that they've done in these areas to help them grow? All right. Sounds good. We'll go on then to the next section. So this is an example email of something I sent Josh just in the last couple of weeks. It is how we start via our new process, how we start these custom sales videos that we do for clients. What happens is a lot of times we'll get an opportunity where someone will come and they'll be interested in the speech, and I'll share all kinds of information. But they are unwilling to do a pre-booking call with him. They don't want to, they feel like they're bothering the speaker. They're unable to make a decision that quickly. For whatever reason, they don't want to do it. And we say, how can we best influence that at that point? How do we influence that person? And how do we influence perhaps a committee of people where many speaking decisions are made? Where we can't touch them, where they might forward off an email I write, but it doesn't have quite the same thing as hearing me speak. And it certainly doesn't have the same thing as hearing the actual speaker speak. So I create an email like this, and I send it off to Josh, and we put together a video, and I want to kind of walk you through what happens. Now, some of these things that I'm telling him to talk about in the video, I specifically ask about on the call. I kind of have this in mind when I'm talking to a meeting planner or a bureau and saying, what are the things that I need to know so that we can put in a video that will be able to speak back to them in their own language, or address any concerns they have, or use the phrases and expressions and themes that they're talking about. So this is one for an upcoming client that was a sponsor at a convention where they do a bunch of drug and alcohol testing equipment. So I knew the client's name was Doug because I had talked to Doug. So I told Josh to go ahead and introduce himself, say hello to Doug. And it says, and the team at, and the client name. It says Josh Linkner here, obviously saying his name. And then the reason there's a blank here is he generally gives some stuff about his own personal credibility. New York Times bestselling author, venture capital investor, jazz guitarist, whatever might be most appropriate. And hopefully you're a keynote speaker for an incredible evening on May 28th at Nationals Park, home of the World Series champion Washington Nationals for the 20 annual conference and 25th anniversary celebration. So by talking to them, so first of all, this was the day after the Nationals won the World Series. They were super excited because they had secured this venue months before. They had kind of hit the jackpot that the Nationals had won the World Series. And that theme of baseball and being there was came up about 5 times on the call. So I wanted to make sure that Josh had referenced Nationals Park and the fact that they had just won the World Series, making a total custom about them. Then I went on and said, because he's going to be the one, the speaker, as many of you are speakers, are going to go ahead and create what you want to say. So I wanted to give him, or if I were the speaker, I wanted to have a list for myself, the things that were critical that I want to make sure I'm hitting in that video that I know that'll increase our odds of actually closing the opportunity. So I said that. I said, there's a number of things you need to know here. They're releasing a new product in the drug and alcohol space. They had an old product that's kind of been the staple for testing for about 10 to 15 years. And they're coming out with this new one. That the conference is 3 days long, and that they're inviting 2,000 to 3,000 attendees from the stadium, from this event, to come be bussed at night to their big sponsorship event here at the stadium. So they have an event like at a conference center, and they're getting these people there. And one of the most important things for them was, how do we make sure that as many people as possible will come to this event and go ahead and see us, see our new product and see us speak. And so to them, being exciting and actionable and having fame were really, really important. Look, talking a little about the event. They're going to be food, keynote speaker, who's going to be there, who our client is, who the decision makers are, all kinds of things. Making it clear that this video, I knew that if I shot this video, that our client Doug would go ahead and send that to his boss, and hopefully it'll influence the decision. Talk about what's happened since then a little bit, but. So things that came up on the call, he asked me, do you guys do evening engagements all the time? It seems like Josh does a lot of big keynotes at associations and on major stages, but this is going to be people, excuse me, at a stadium drinking and eating food and having fun at night, kind of going out and partying. Is he familiar with an environment like that? Is he able to bring sort of that rock concert mentality and energy to it? And so I want to make sure that of course I said that he did on the call, and I confidently know he can, but I want to make sure that that was covered at the same time. Next up, they were asking about other things that he does. Is he willing to do a VIP meet and greet? Is he willing to do book signings? Hey, would Josh be open to recording a video? What about social media? What can we do to make sure people know how excited that the speaker is, that they're coming to this event and getting people to come join and get on that bus. We all know how it is. Sometimes day 3 of the conference, you're tired, and as much as the evening thing is fun, you're like, oh, I might just go have a quiet dinner, or go back to my room and go to bed early, or get a workout in, or catch up on all the email I didn't read. So how do we help make that transition for the audience member? And then something that was a little unique about this, he'd asked about some other things we had on one of our websites about some of the consulting stuff that we did, and he asked for a 1-pager. And I got lots of 1-pagers on that I can send that are nice and boring. But what I did instead is said, how do we put this in the video and make it a little bit more dynamic? So I gave all those things to Josh. I answered some of the questions he had. He kind of sat in the same spot I'm sitting right now talking to you. We thought through it might actually work, and we went ahead and we recorded a video. One thing that we've done also recently is we included this impact statement. So a lot of times we would start like, hey, Doug and the team at whatever, Josh Linkner here, New York Times bestselling author, hopefully your keynote speaker. But it was all about him. It was all about the speaker. And we said, wait a minute, we want to make this about the audience. We tell people when they speak not to get up on stage and say, hey, thanks so much. Wasn't the chicken lunch great? I'm so glad to be here. Thanks, Judy, for introducing me. We avoid all that. If we have to do a quick thank you, we do it 5 minutes in. We start with a story and make the big possible impact. Same thing here. A friend of ours who's on television news, we were doing some work together recently, and he was telling a story about how at 5:23 every day, because he anchors the 5:30 news, he comes on and he says, hi, I'm so-and-so and coming up at 5:30. And then he goes on and teases some story. And his new boss, the new station manager of this big television station, said, what are you doing? And he's like, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, you're starting out and you're saying coming up at 5:30, my name is so-and-so. First of all, they know your name. They watch you every day for the last 20 years. They know you're about to tell them something that's coming up. Who cares about that? Just tell them the thing that you want them to know that's the most compelling. You're buying permission in just a few seconds at a time. People are going to change the channel. And of course, it's like, oh, that makes sense. I don't know why I didn't do that for the last 20 years. Well, same thing as we've been doing these videos now for quite a while. We realized that we needed to make that same sort of change. So anyways, with that as a backdrop, I want to give you an example right now of what this video that we actually produced looks like based on this script. We've made a number of changes to it. We think it's a lot better than it used to be. Still not perfect, but it's a good thing. It's worked out well. So with that, here we go.
How do you get thousands of people who have been in a conference all day long out to National Stadium to have a great time? How do you get people focused on innovation and creativity while having a rock star-like environment, all focused around the incredible innovation done by Abbott? My name is Josh Linkner, longtime tech entrepreneur, New York Times bestselling author, jazz guitarist, and hopefully your keynote speaker at this upcoming event. I would be delighted to contribute on May 28th at the Nationals Park at the home of the World Series champion Washington Nationals. Together, I think we can do incredible things and we can drive an incredible result. I was so excited to hear about your event. It sounds like it's going to be amazing, and I would love to contribute some energy, not only getting people excited at the event, but helping to get people to the event. In fact, as I've been thinking about it, there are 5 reasons why I think the fit may be just right. First of all, I spent the last 29 years starting, building, selling companies. So I've been in the world of business for a long time and deeply understand the issues that are at hand today, specifically around innovation and creativity. I've written 3 books on the topic of innovation and creativity, how to harness innovation, and how to deploy it on an ongoing and regular basis. Number 2, this is going to be a fun event. This is not some sleepy conference room. This is the National Stadium. So I'm going to bring extraordinary entertainment value to this session. It's not going to be cheesy. It's not going to be platitudes, but instead I'll use tons of rich storytelling, humor, fun examples. It will have the entertainment value of a good movie. It'll have the energy that that stadium deserves. Number 3, in addition to the energy and excitement and fun of the session, I will make sure that it is deeply practical. In other words, folks will not only walk away feeling amped up, but they're going to walk away learning some practical tools that they can put into use in the months and years to come. And of course, as they're deploying those tools, as they're making better decisions, as they're driving innovation into their companies, in the back of their mind, they're going to be thinking about Abbott. Number 4. When you think about a great talk, it's not some canned keynote, instead it's customized. And so I will really take the time to understand exactly what's going on. I'll include stories and examples about your new drug testing equipment. We'll work together to co-create the content such that every minute counts and it's deeply on point to get the folks excited and on point to reinforce the incredible innovation value that Abbott has to offer. And finally, number 5, zero drama. You got enough drama pulling an event like this off. You don't need any from me. So from the time you say go to the time we're done, the whole process is going to be seamless and fun. And in fact, from the time you say go, I will be on your side to help you promote this event. If you need me to produce a few videos inviting people to come, awesome. If you'd like me to write a custom piece that you can distribute to sort of tease out the conversation in advance, terrific. If you'd like me to promote this to my nearly 250,000 followers online, happy to do it. So again, we will work in concert, not only to have an awesome live event, but all the work leading up to it, such that this is a roaring success for everybody involved. Again, I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity, for your consideration. If you have any additional questions, I'd be happy to hop on a call and further explore the fit. In addition to this exact event, I was really excited to learn that you're hoping to drive innovation further at additional events or even helping to create workshops or other types of engagements together. Just as a quick introduction, my partners and I, we have an entire consulting firm, a training and development firm called Platypus Labs, where we help some of the largest organizations in the world build cultures of innovation. We deliver training workshops, we deliver one-on-one consulting, and we help drive innovation deep and wide. And in fact, healthcare is one of our largest segments. So I know we're talking about this event on May 28th, but please know that our deep desire is to be of service to you, not only in the near term, but for many years to come. Thanks again for your consideration. Let's rock it out. Let's have an awesome event together at the Nationals Park on May 28th.
All right. So there's the example from what I had just sent Josh, exactly how it transpired. You noticed it wasn't perfect. He wasn't reading from a teleprompter. He stumbled over his words a little bit, especially when there's some unique stuff, but he started with an impact statement. He hit all those things. He tried to be even higher energy than he normally would be. So that was kind of like up a step and a half from like what a typical video would be. And the reason for that is because they were looking for that energy. They were looking for someone who was going to go ahead and fit into the mold of what they want in an evening event with drinks and alcohol after a long day, getting people to a baseball stadium that's all lit up. So you can see kind of how that flows together. The good news is we didn't actually land that particular deal, but we're in process, hopefully, of landing another one. The response to the video, the guy wrote back like 20 minutes later and was like, "Wow, just wow. My boss and I both think this is incredible. In fact, are you available for a different date? We have a different audience that we think is, if we're going to go ahead and make this kind of investment, we'd rather use you there." Of course, I told him why we should be at both events, but I don't know if he bought that. But we're looking at one later next year, which I think is going to be even a stronger fit. So this stuff has proven to continue to work, and we've figured out a formula to try and do it. It gets a little tricky for us sometimes too, because it's easy when we're sitting here in this room. A little more tricky when Josh is traveling. So like right now, we did one yesterday for a client today, and we've kind of developed some hacks on how to do it with an iPhone and finding the right background, making sure there's not too much of an echo. And folks like Connor and Lena on our team do an awesome job pulling these things together and editing them quickly. So there you have it. I wanted to share that as an example. Any questions anyone has on our sales video process or anything that we can help with as far as addressing there?
Hey, Jordan, it's Steve Smith. First of all,
Hey,
thanks for showing that. That's always very inspirational. And you mentioned doing these type of videos about a year ago, and I've done several of them. So I'm really grateful for that. That one was really good. It seemed really long to me, though. Is that normal?
It was probably a little bit longer. I don't know. That one was like, I want to say about 4.5 minutes.
I usually try and make them 30 or 45 seconds.
Yeah, we usually do them a little shorter. They tend to be closer to 3 to 3.5 minutes. And that one, they had some very specific things. It's kind of why I use it, about the energy that Josh was trying to hit, the things about National Stadium. And also they asked about consulting, which that was very unique. So we added a little bit on that. So I would say generally around 3 minutes. Certainly brevity is good. I think if we treat these the same way you treat a good speech, where we're trying to buy permission in just 5, 7, 10 seconds at a time, as long as you have enough good stuff and you've kind of orchestrated the flow of that talk in these videos, you'll get someone to continue to watch. If there isn't enough there, then I certainly would not add length to it for the sake of adding length. But I'm glad that you've seen some success with it. We find that as we've gotten better at these videos, and we can get a lot better. They're good, but they have a lot of room for improvement on every level. So we're working on it. But we found that the better that we get at these videos and the quicker we can turn them around and the better I get at asking the right kind of questions, the more likely we are to close the deal. And we see our closing rates go up in those opportunities. And if we lose, we still lose. But at least we feel like we put our best foot forward, and a better foot forward, hopefully, than some other folks that we're competing against.
And Jordan, one follow on. A lot of times when the agencies contact us, they ask us to hold a date.
Mm-hmm.
And they might say the industry, but they generally don't say much about the customer. And it's just occurring to me now, I should go back to them and ask them, can you tell me who it is or what their business is, more information. Would that be probably met with openness by the agencies, or?
Yeah, it depends. I ask.
They really like to keep it all.
Yeah, I think it depends. So I ask all the time. Sometimes I get great responses, sometimes not. So people are more open, I find, sharing information when they know that you're willing to do these kind of things, like a sales video. So if you have sort of a generic one, even if you create a fake one that you want to send them as an example when there isn't a deal, that will help. Make up a client, make up a city, or use a real client name, but for fake event. So there's no issue there. And then they tend to be more open to it. I mean, it does happen though. Actually yesterday I wrote someone and said, hey, this is awesome. Anything I can help, any, custom sales video, any testimonials, we'd love to do a pre-booking call. And the person just responded, nope, all good for now. And so a lot of times, you got a bureau who's pitching 20 speakers. All they're doing is checking availability. And they want you to hold the date because the way their process works, the way their mind works, they don't want to present anyone to a client that isn't likely going to be available on a certain date. So I think it's just about education. If they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. One thing I often try to ask is what the client's first name is. I said, if you're open to sharing it, can you let us know the first name of your contact, the client, so we can address them directly? And then we can say, hi, Doug. Hi, Susan. Hi, Jim, Bob, and Sally at the blah, blah, blah pharmaceutical company, whatever it is. If they don't, we just say the team. Hello to the team at GE Aircraft Engines. That's fine too. But people I find generally are more open than not. I think there's someone on the chat. There was a question. I can't quite see it on that screen. Can you share it, Connor? Yeah, so the question is, do we send them a video file, or do we upload a video to a platform? We upload them to Vimeo. It gives, just because a lot of times the videos are going to be just too big in size to handle very well over email. And so that way they can live stream it they can watch on their phone, they can watch it on their computer. The only time it would ever really be a challenge is if they tried to watch it when they were on an airplane, the Wi-Fi just wasn't fast enough. But that's what we do. It allows us to we can control the environment. We can keep it private. It doesn't go out anywhere else. You have to have that URL to know it. It doesn't get tracked by Google. So it stays to be personal for them. But if they want to share it with a colleague, forward it to committee, they can forward that link and it works just fine. It seems to have gone best for us.
Hey, Jordan, you were a little bit broken. Where do you put the video? On like a Google Drive or something?
Oh, sorry. We use it on Vimeo.
Okay.
On Vimeo. Yep. And that way they can watch it without having to download this huge file.
Yeah, you can also upload them to YouTube and just make them unlisted.
Absolutely. Yep, that'll work as well. Same idea. Good. What other questions does anyone have, or experiences using videos like this? Or any other unique sales techniques? Okay. Well, with that, then we will wrap up for today. Hopefully that's a useful tool. Of course, if you have any questions separately than this, you want to know how we did something or how we kind of would approach it, we're always happy to share. As you know, it's a complete open book. We can jump on a call. We can answer some technical questions if you have it. We can talk about the questions we ask on a call to kind of figure out this information. But however we can be of service and helpful to you, we are always pleased to do and excited. So,
Jordan,
yes.
Jordan, this is Marilyn Sherman.
Hey, Marilyn.
I'm redoing my demo video now and my one sheet. Would you guys be open to have me send it as just to get feedback before, like at 75% completion?
1,000%.
Okay.
Always send it away. We're happy to do it. And frankly, but you may know people as well that you met at boot camp or others. I think a lot of people are always happy to kind of share and give feedback and suggestions. But yeah, send it on over. We'll look at it soon and tell you what we think.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Totally. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. It's good seeing all these faces, and we'll do this again in just another few weeks. Take care.